So, just a little introduction to myself. I'm Abby. I am a running coach and fitness Pilates and group exercise instructor. I'm not a natural runner, I'll be the first to say that. I have had, when I started running about 6 years ago, injury after injury, and I didn't know why. Had to work really hard at my running. Every time I got somewhere, an injury set me back. I wanted to learn more about it and improve, became a running coach, and then fitness Pilates and group exercise instructor, and now coach through my business Beyond Couch to 5K, running programs and exercise classes to help runners not get injured and improve their running form, because it has helped me so much, and haven't been injured for about 18 months, touch wood, and have really seen my running progress because I'm a lot stronger and not getting injured, have more consistent training. So I just want to share some of those things with you today. So we'll start. The first thing we do before a run, before we do any strengthening, is get mobilized. So if we work on our joints, mobilize the joints, we can have better range of movement, better range of motion to fulfill the exercises better. So I always start from the top down so you don't forget anything. Bringing the feet underneath our bodies, underneath our hips, I should say, second and middle toe in line with knees underneath hips, rolling the shoulders back and down, engage the abdominals. So what do I mean by that? Imagine if I was going to throw a ball at you, I want you to brace so that wouldn't hurt. So that feel of connection in the abdominals, we keep that throughout. And then we just start by rolling the shoulders back. So running is actually dictated by our arms. Take it forward. So if you've got tension up in the shoulders, it's going to feed down through the body. Take it big. So if we can mobilize our shoulders first, it's really going to help. Take it back. Good. Leave them up like a V. I'll just move back. From this position in this V, you're going to pull them down to a W, hands either side of your head, kind of like that tragedy dance, and then up again, squeezing your shoulder blades back and down, like you're trying to squeeze a pencil in between them. This is really great, this exercise, because it's mobilizing your shoulders, but it's also opening your chest and activating the top of your back, the top of your shoulders, so your shoulders will stay back and down whilst you're running and you're not hunched over. Good, 2 more. Last one. And release. Let's reach down to one side and then the other, mobilizing the spine. Good. And then take it forward, hands down the front of your thighs, so your back is flat, and then we arch the back up by pulling the belly button in, and then you go the other way, look forwards. Pull the belly button in, arch up, and look forwards. It's really important that we mobilize the whole body. It's not just our legs working when we're running. And bring it up. Roll those shoulders back and down. And we're going to circle the hips. Great, well done. And the other way. Shift your weight, come to standing. Shift your weight into one leg. As the other leg is going to go out to the side. You can hold on to something and then behind. Out to the side, behind. So we're mobilizing the hips here, but we're also starting to activate the glutes. Squeeze as you send it back. Swap sides. Side. And your abs are working by keeping you upright. Couple more. Squeeze the glute at the back. That's it, good. Shift your weight again onto that first leg, and we're just going to lift the knee, circle the ankle. And circle it in. Getting those ankles mobilized. If you do a lot of trail running, make sure you get your ankles warmed up before you go out, and bring it in. Feet underneath us again. Let's bring it up onto our toes and down. Up onto toes and down. A lot of you mentioned plantar fasciitis or Achilles issues. By working on strengthening our calves, that can really help alleviate those issues. Bring it up and down. Keep it controlled on the way down so it's not just gravity doing the work for you. Good, couple more. You can progress this move by doing this single leg, so let's try that. Hold on to something if you need, just 4. One more just so you can feel the difference. Swap sides. Bring it up and we bring it down. Good, don't be afraid to hold on to something. Good, and let's just stretch those out by taking a step back, push the heel down, step forwards, swap over. Not holding these stretches because we're not warmed up yet. So before a run, we just dynamically stretch. That means we don't hold, we move through the stretches. Take your right foot out in front of you. On its heel, we're just going to swoop up. Swap sides. So again, it's a dynamic stretch, this time for our hamstrings, which I know the majority of us have got very tight hamstrings. One more. Good. Okay, now we're mobilized. I want us to first, we're going to come down to the mat and we're going to focus on our glutes. So we come down, or ground, whatever you've got, hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Glutes are notoriously lazy. If you've ever been to physio, they'll say you need to strengthen your glutes. A load of squatting, lunge work, that's great. But if we haven't got the connection between our brain and our glutes actually switching on, you're just going to reinforce bad habits. So overloading the quads, overloading the hip flexors. So we really need to isolate the glutes. So I'm going to give us a few exercises to start with, and then we're going to come to those more compound exercises, the lunges, the squats. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Pull your belly in, engage the abdominals. We're going to lift our right leg, stamp our foot up to the ceiling without moving our back. Squeeze the glute at the top, bring it back down. So it goes up, squeeze, down. No higher is your knee going than your hips, because we're not doing this. It's really controlled. Squeeze that glute at the top to build that connection to activate those glutes. One more, and we swap sides. Lifting and lowering. 8 to 10 reps of these to start with are great. You can do this before a run. So we switch those glutes on before you go out for a run. Good, keep it going. One more, and bring it back down. We're going to change that. So hands and knees stay under shoulders. Instead of bringing it up behind us, we're going to bring it to the side and in. So we bring it to the side and in. So I'll show you from both sides. So you bring it up, again, knee no higher than hips. You may not get it that high. 4 more. Feel it kind of getting into the side of your glutes, your glute medius and minimus, your hip stabilizers. 1 more. Swap sides. 8 on this side. Good, brilliant, everyone, keep that going. 4 more. Can you feel your glutes now? This will work both legs. Good, and let's just sit back onto our heels for a moment, take a little break. So as I say, 8 to 10 of those before a run. You could do that once, you could do it twice, you could progress to it 3 times. Come onto your side. We will be coming back up to standing. We're just going to do 1 more for the glute medius and minimus, which is your hip stabilizers, which I'll explain a bit more about in a moment. Bottom leg straight or bent, your choice. Elbow or rest your head on your arm. Top leg comes slightly behind the body. Toes point down as you lift, squeeze, and lower. Lift, squeeze, and lower. So we're isolating the hip stabilizer glute muscles. 4 more. Good, really squeezing at the top. Brilliant. Hold it at the top on this last one for me. You can use your hand for balance in front, and we're just going to pulse it a little. You might feel that burning now, just pulsing that a little, and lower. Let's swap to the other side. Your glutes are going to be well switched on. So on your elbow, or you can rest your head down, bottom leg straight or bent, top leg slightly behind, toes point down, lift, squeeze and lower. You can use your left hand for balance. Good, really squeezing at the top, because we're trying to build that connection so these glutes actually switch on and don't just stay lazy. Couple more. On this one, leave it at the top and we're just going to pulse it at the top. Really squeezing there. Brilliant. And we lower down. Twist onto our front, we're just going to bring it back up. So walk our hands back in and up we come. Okay, now our glutes are switched on. That's when we can think about those exercises will strengthen your glutes, for sure. But now they're switched on, we can do what we call compound exercises, where we're working groups of muscles. So the lunge, where we're working the glutes, the quads, the hamstrings. Because if we go straight into those, if you haven't got glutes that fire up, which was always my issue and what probably your physio has told you, because most of our injuries stem from our hips and glutes area. So now we've got them switched on, we can do those compound exercises and know that the glutes are going to work. So the first one is the lunge. You've probably done this 1,000 times, but I want you to think about form. So I want you to step your right foot back. Look at your legs. So your knees need to be in line with your hips so that they're on a train track. If they're in line, you're wobbling. So imagine your feet and knees are on a train track and in line with your hips. Shoulders back, which is why I always step back, because it keeps your shoulders back. Then we drop it down with shoulders over hips. Bend that knee right angle at the knee. Don't worry if you don't get so low. Then step it forward. Then swap. And we drop down. We bring it up. You can have your hands at your center, hands at your hips. Whatever feels best for you. As long as you've got that alignment. I want you to also take note of, do your hips stay level as they go down? If they're tilting, one's sticking out, don't go so low. Keep them level. Keep going. I'm going to come have a little look. That's it. Good. Nice, Sharon. Good, Tilly. Great, Karen. Good, Anne. Nice, Lucy, that's great. And Linda, well done. Okay, bring it back in underneath you. You just give them a little shake out, or you might want to just roll your hands down to your feet and roll it up, have a little rest. We're going to change that, work our abs, and also work on what we call knee drive, which when you're running, we want to pick up our knees to make our strides bigger and more powerful. So we're going to lunge back just as you did, knees, feet in line with your hips. We drop it down, we lift the knee, and then we swap. So it's quite powerful. You lift that knee up and swap. You can use your arm, opposite arm. Good, so keep those abs pulled in. You fire that knee up. Brilliant. If it's too much, you can step then knee. But absolutely love this one for runners, to pull that knee up. Good, let's see. Lovely, really good. Give me 2 more each side. Brilliant, ladies, really good. Last one. And bring it underneath and just roll down to release. Good, shake it out. So there are lunges. So you can incorporate that before a run or in a separate session. Great for your quads, your glutes, your hamstrings, coordination and balance. Come to our squats. Feet hip width apart, heels down, weight through heels as we bring our hips down, push our bum back, knees same direction as toes. So no knees coming in. And we bring it down, we push up. Good, so when we're down here, stay down with me. Squeeze your glutes now, then push up. Do you feel a difference? Squeeze the glutes to push up. So did you notice maybe they weren't firing up to help you push up? Maybe your quads and hip flexors were taking the brunt of the work. We've got to think about switching them on. Good. Squeeze those glutes. Good. Now hold it halfway down for me. So don't go too low, about halfway, so I'm only about here. Shift your weight onto your right leg. We're going to lift our left, tap out to the left, bring it in, and then tap it behind. Left, center, behind. So again, we're working on a single leg exercise, like the lunge, to even out imbalances in our body, which can lead to injury. Great. 2 more. Side, center, behind. The lower you go, the harder this is. And then we swap. Shift the weight onto the other leg. Squeeze the left glute as we tap out to the right. Also great for the abdominals and the back. So all these stretches, these exercises we're doing are about strengthening our core, which is our abdominals, back, around our hips and our glutes. That's what makes up our core. It's more than our abdominals. Good. Give me 1 more. And up. Shake it out. Well done. I'm going to show you a variation of that. So that exercise, you feel it in the side of your glutes. Those muscles, our glute medius and minimus, I've mentioned a couple of times, keep our hips level. So when we're landing on one leg, we're landing with 2 to 3 times our body weight. So they need to be strong to keep the hips level so you don't dip. Have you seen photos where your hips are dipped? This is my problem. They need to be level, which is hard work after however many miles. So when they're dipping, it's overloading smaller muscles we don't want to be overloading knees, joints, ankles. So it can lead to Achilles tendonitis, IT band syndrome, piriformis syndrome. So we do want to keep those hips level. The other thing those muscles do is keep our knees and ankles in line, so they're not rolling in or rolling out. So they're really important to get to these muscles. Okay, I'm going to do a variation of that. So before we were holding and tapping, this time we're going to lift one knee, squat down to tap, lift the knee, squat down to tap, lift, squat, lift, squat. So it's a little more intense. Good, feel the control that's needed, which is what we need. If we're stronger and more controlled, we're more efficient and reduce the risk of injury. Brilliant, everyone, that's really good. That's it, 1 more. The lower you squat, the harder that is. You've probably figured that out. And let's swap. Lift the other knee, tap out. Lift, tap behind. Let's have a little look at you. Good, great control. And how's your balance doing? Running is a balance exercise on one leg. Good, let's do 1 more. And pop your feet underneath you. And we just roll down to release, which is also great because you can give your hamstrings a little stretch at the same time. And bring it up. Shake it out. We're going to come down to the floor again. So, actually, no, we're not. We're going to do 1 more. I missed my favourite one. Nearly missed that for you. So, we've got our lunges, our squats. Lunges are great because they work all the muscles we want to improve, the quads, the glutes, the hamstrings, as well as balance coordination. The squat, again, brilliant. But if we can make it single leg, even better, that holding or the squatting down, because we can even out imbalances. My final one for you, we'll just do a few of these are quite intense, is the single leg deadlift. So I recommend standing by a wall to start with, to hold on to. You're going to shift your weight onto one leg, again, another single leg. Right foot is just going to come just behind you for your toes for balance to start with. We hinge at the hips, reach down and up. So again, this is all about control and stability in the hips and in the core. So you don't be afraid to hold on to something. We want to keep our back straight. So if you're curving your back, don't go so low. Give me 8 on one leg, and then we'll swap. Really feel it working the calves, the hamstrings, the glutes. And let's swap it over. When you've got to your 8, now come have a look. Again, you can do this, you can progress this to add weight as well. Look down to keep your neck long. If you feel you're wobbling, hold on to something. Totally fine. Good, Tilly, that's nice. Well done, Anne, that's great. Good control. So we want nice and slow on the way up as well. So we're not just rushing. Good, once you've got to 8 on this side, let's bring our feet underneath us and give those hamstrings a stretch. And we bring it up. Good, let's just do 4 more on each side. Just 4. Shift the weight onto the left leg. Let's pivot and reach down. Good, very good, everyone. Good, 2 more. Good, Sharon. Last one. Good, Karen. And then swap sides, 4 on the right. So this is an exercise that's much easier with your trainers on. This is why I like doing it barefoot. You'll wobble more, but you're going to get more benefit. It's okay to wobble. It's hard. Keep your abdominals pulled in. Good, and we shake it out. Roll down and relax to stretch your hamstrings. It's important we work our hamstrings because our quads are so dominant as runners. Our quads are big muscles, and when we land, our hamstrings are protecting our knee. So if our hamstrings aren't as strong as our quads, you can imagine what's happening. That's putting a lot of pressure on our knees. So we must strengthen the hamstrings to counterbalance that. Also helps pull up our knee when we're running as well. So this time we really are moving down to the mat. So I like to get there by rolling down, walking hands forward. You can drop to your knees first if you wish, and we're just going to hold a high plank. Hands under shoulders, nice straight line from shoulders to feet or to knees. If it's too much on your feet, you come to your knees, shifting the weight just to the front of your thighs. Hold here, squeeze the abdominals in. Hold, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's lower down. Good. Right, we're just going to show you a little exercise for your backs. Hands by your face to start with. Squeeze your glutes, so squeeze your bum, pull your tummy away from the mat. I just want you to lift your hands, lift your chest and lower. Lift your hands, your chest and lower. So we're working here, our lower back. Again, all part of keeping us stable whilst we're running, so we don't overload joints and muscles that aren't designed to be overloaded. We become more efficient, so we use less energy. So we just keep lifting and lowering, a little hold at the top. To make this harder, you extend your arms. Hands parallel. It's harder because you've got a longer lever. You can also raise your legs. So you pick your option, whether it's hands by your face, legs down, or extend the hands, or maybe it's hands by your face with legs, depending on how much room you've got. Give me 4 more. Good, and rest. We rest by sitting back onto our heels and reach forward. Rest the lower back there. Let's do that once more. Hands by your face or hands out straight. We're going to lift the arms, maybe the legs as well, holding at the top and lowering. Look down. Let me have a little look. See if you need any pointers. I'm sure you look fabulous. I probably can't see most of you. Oh, thanks, Anne. Good, that's great, Karen. Good, Anne. Well done, the rest of you. I can't see, but I'm sure you look great. So again, we're strengthening this lower back, strengthening all this core, so our hips are more stable. Give me 2 more. Last one, and then we sink back onto our heels. Little stretch there. Good, we're going to come down to our backs. I'm going to show you a couple of my favourite exercises for the abdominals. Come on to the backs, feet down. From here, I just want you to just tilt your pelvis a little bit. So you just tilt your pelvis just so your back is a little bit more into the mat than it maybe was. We haven't got a huge gap. A little gap's fine. Everyone's spine's slightly different. From here, I want you to imagine that ball that I threw at you at the start of the class. That's going to drop from the ceiling. So your abdominals need to be braced. Brace your abdominals. We're going to lift one leg up to a right angle and then the other. So we've got right angles behind knees, shins are parallel to the ground, like a tabletop. Palms face up, so we're not holding tension, or you can have your hands by your head. Squeeze those abdominals as we tap one foot down, then the other. If this pinches or hurts your back, you can start with your feet down, bring one up, then the other. Absolutely love this exercise because this is what's happening when we're running. We're moving one leg, we're moving both in different directions, and our abdominals are keeping us stable, keeping our top half still, keeping our pelvis as still as it can. So this is brilliant. To progress this, you can raise your hand. You can send one opposite hand back with your opposite leg. Keep those abs really pulled in. So it's not the hip flexors doing all the work. So you can extend one hand and one leg. Good. 2 more each side. Brilliant. And we hug the knees in. Take a little break. Let's go back to that table. Make sure your shins are parallel to the ground. If you want to progress that even further, you can tap once, tap twice, tap 3 times, pull it in. So you tap down, tap again, pull it in. That's quite intense. So I just want you to give that a try. If that's no good for you, if your back's coming off the mat, go back to the single. Just want to give you options here of how you can progress these. Good, keep those abs really strong. Give me 1 more each side. Pull it in. And just hug those knees in. Good, take a breath. We're going to extend those legs once more into that tabletop position. Interlace fingers behind your head. Push your head into your hands. We're going to twist and tap the opposite elbow to opposite knee whilst the other leg extends, then twist and tap. Really nice and slow. Working the lower abdominals here. Keep it going. Few more. Stretch is coming. You're doing great, well done. Give me 2 more each side. 1 more. And lower your feet down. Reach your hands above your head, point your toes. Stretch out your abdominals. So I do those specific abdominals exercises at the end. So when your abdominals are tired, your form goes to pot. Your balance goes, everything goes, which is why at the end of a run, if you notice your form has gone all, do you ever look a little bit like a sack of potatoes? I sometimes do. Because the abdominals are tired, they've been trying to hold you up and you lose your form. So I do it at the end so we don't lose our balance in the other exercises. But With stronger abdominals, we're going to have better posture, be better upright, be more efficient, reduce the risk of injury. From here, feet down, we're going to take the right foot, pop the ankle over the left thigh, just below the knee there. Push the right knee away. So push that knee away. Feel that stretch in the front of the hip there. Hip flex. Then we reach behind the left thigh. Reach behind, pull the legs towards you. Bring your shoulders back and down onto the mat. Hugging those legs towards you, stretching out the right glute and right hip here. And it's so important that we strengthen our glutes. Really important that we stretch around this area as well. As I said, hips are the center of our movement. So if we can improve our mobility, we'll have better movement, better posture. Your running will be better, your risk of injury less. Hug them a little closer towards you, and then we're going to release. Pop the other right foot down, left ankle crosses over right thigh. Push the left knee away. So push that knee away. Feel that little stretch across the front of the right left hip. Then we reach behind right thigh and hug the legs towards you. Shoulders down. Does that side feel the same or different? If one side's tighter than the other, you can hold stretches longer on that side. And if you notice when you're doing the strengthening that one side was harder than the other, add a few more reps on that weaker side to help even out those imbalances. Hug them a little closer, deepening the stretch, and release. Send those legs long. We're going to swivel onto our tummies. You can relax your head on your right arm. We're going to reach behind, grab the left foot in our left hand, push the hips into the mat. So push your hips down, push your foot into your hand and your hand into your foot. I do not mind, I'm not interested in seeing if you can get your heel to your bum. What I'm interested in is seeing you push your hips into the mat. It's a far more effective stretch rather than just pulling your heel to your bum. So pushing the hips forward, push your foot into your hand and your hand into your foot to create a little bit of resistance for that stretch. As I said, our quads are very strong and dominant, so we've got to give them the stretch. I hold stretches for at least 30 seconds. You don't have to do that all in one go. You could hold for 10 times 3 or 15 times 2, or you could hold it for longer, because at least 30 seconds means we can actually lengthen the muscles. Good, just holding for another moment there. And gently release, and we're going to swap over. Reach the right foot and right hand. Push the hips forward again. Hand into foot and foot into hand. Create a little bit of resistance for the stretch. Feel that stretch down the front of the right quad there. And you can also just chill out a bit whilst you're doing your stretching. After a hard session, like if you've ran really fast or ran really long, I don't recommend holding stretches for too long. We actually say about 10 seconds because you've put your muscles through so much. But then later on in the day, you could do a longer stretch. If you had just an easy run, doing a long stretch is fine. Release that leg down. Push into your hands. We're going to come back to kneeling. You're going to put your toes onto the mat. Toes onto the mat. So get as many on as you can. You probably can't get your little toe on. And I want you to sit onto your heels. If that's too much, just bring your weight forward. But we sit onto our heels to stretch out our toes, stretch out our feet. Again, I know a lot of you said plantar fasciitis, shin splints. This will help. I'm going to do a few exercises here for our ankle mobility. So good ankle mobility means we will not roll our ankles so much. It will relieve pressure in our Achilles, our calves. It will absorb more shock. Now just bring your hands forward just in front of your knees. Toes are still tucked onto the mat. We're going to push up into our hips high, push the heels down. So we're basically a more compact downward dog. So pushing those heels down, working on the ankle mobility. Can you push? You might want to walk your hands a little bit closer. Push those heels down. They may not touch, doesn't matter. Lower your knees. Come back to sit on your heels again. Good, so we're stretching the feet, then we're working on the ankle mobility, lower calves. This has been a game changer for me, this stretch. I've got a historical injury in my left foot that I was continually rolling. And doing this has made so much difference. Hands just in front of the knees, we push up again. Good, push those heels down. And release. I'm just going to pivot. You can stay where you are just so I can show you from the side. We're staying with kneeling, but I'm going to take my right foot, take it quite far away. Heel is kind of in line with the front of my knee there. And I'm going to push my knee towards my toes, over my toes, feeling that stretch in the inner thigh. So these inner thigh muscles are all connected to hip flexors. If they're tight, your glutes, makes it really hard for your glutes to activate and fire up. Inner thigh muscles can also cause lower back pain, which I know a few of you mentioned. So push that knee over the toes and then bring it back. We're going to bring that foot closer. So we're going to turn it from an inner thigh stretch to an ankle stretch, a calf stretch. So bring it closer, and then we go again. We send the knee over the toes. If this hurts your knee, take your foot further away. But otherwise, send the knee over the toes. Feel that stretch now, how it's moved to here, the lower calf. You might be able to pull it closer again. So step that foot closer still and push the knee over the toes. Good. And release. Swap it over. Don't be afraid to, if you want to pop something under your knee, if your knee's sore, please do. Don't have sore knees here. So let's take the left foot, take it quite far away to start with, and we're just going to hinge there, stretching out the inner thighs. So say, this is great for relieving lower back pain and helping us activate our glutes. So you can see there's a real theme around the glutes and the hips in everything we do. So say we want strong core, abdominals, back, glutes, hips, so that we're more efficient, we're not tilting, our knees stay in line, we're not overloading muscles and joints that we don't want to be. Bring that foot nearer. Let's work on the ankle mobility, pushing the knee over the toes. So if you've got plantar fasciitis or had that, these are some great moves for you. The one where we sat on the heels and then pushed up, and this one. Can you bring it closer again? Obviously, if it's hurting your knee, do not. Good, and release. Okay, back to kneeling. I want you to take your left foot, step it forward. Again, if you want to pop something under your right knee, please do. So it's in front, it's in line with hips this time, we're not out to the side, in line with hips. Right angle behind that knee, so it's not very far forward. And I want you to take your pelvis and I want you to tuck it under. So just tuck, release, and then we leave it tucked. So you tuck in your bum under. Imagine you had a tail that you're trying to tuck under. Or imagine you had a belt buckle on that you're trying to point up to the sky. Feel that stretch in the front of the right hip. That's getting into your hip flexors. Squeeze your right glute, and that will help aid the stretch. To deepen the stretch, we reach our right arm up and over. So this is a really great one. We get really tight hip flexors from sitting at desks, sitting in the car. And as I said before, if these are tight, it stops our glutes firing up, which, as I've already said, can lead to a lot of issues. Good, bring it to center and release. From here, I want you to take your left foot and just step it forward so you come onto your heel. Hold on to something, hold on to your hips, or send your hips back. I want everyone to send the hips back, and you can put your hands on the mat. If that's no good for you, your hands on your hips or on something next to you. We're stretching out our hamstring. Point the toes up. So again, a lot of us say as runners, well, I've got really tight hamstrings. Tight hamstrings might actually be that they're not as strong as we need them to be. As I mentioned earlier, they need to be strong. It might also be that your hip flexors are very tight, and that means that we can't stretch our hamstrings properly. So keep sending your hips back. Good, hold it there. Toes point towards you. And swoop it back. We're going to swap over and do those 2 stretches on the other side. So right foot steps forward. We'll do our hip flexors first. Right angle behind right knee. We're going to tuck and release the pelvis. Tuck and release. Leave it tucked. Squeeze the left glute. Feel that stretch in the front here. Lean back slightly. Belt buckle up to the sky. Again, if you need to hold something for balance, do. And don't be afraid to pop something under your knee. Then we can reach up and over to the left to deepen that stretch. Brilliant, well done everyone. If there's one stretch you do, make this it. Well, we don't want to do all of them, but this really is, this is one I never miss in all the stretches I do, getting into the hip flexors. Because as I say, the hip central movement. So if you're feeling tight elsewhere, or if you're getting injured elsewhere, it's very rarely the symptom you're feeling is the cause. Release, bring it back to center. We're going to step the right foot forward, come onto the heel. We'll send the hips back, hands on hips or hands down onto the mat. Point the toes towards you. Brilliant, well done everybody. I'll send you guys round afterwards this video. I've also got a few videos on YouTube that I'll send, including a 20-odd minute stretch as well that you can do after a run. And if you like the live classes, we do run and strength and stretch Mondays 6:30 p.m. and Thursdays at the minute 5:45, as well as fitness Pilates classes on Monday and Friday mornings. Step that leg back, hands down under shoulders, toes onto the mat, we push up. Walk our hands back to our feet, roll it up, roll the shoulders back. I'm going to show you one last one to help get you into your TFL and IT band, which is notoriously bad for runners. If you've got knee pain or ankle pain, this one could really help. I want you to take your left foot to cross it over your right. Left foot over right. Then we reach down to the left. So you're running your hand down the back of the inside of your back leg. So left foot went over right. So left foot is in front. Then we reach down to the left. So I'm saying that a few times because that isn't always easy to get this right. And then we reach our right hand up and over. Feel that stretch kind of here in the hip. Bring it to center, and then we're going to take it forwards. So hands come down, or you hold your elbows, send your weight over your toes. Feel that stretch go from your right hip down to your right knee and maybe even your right ankle. That's getting into your IT band. So a lot of people with knee pain, they're feeling that because up in the hips is tight, and then the IT band rubs on the knee. So this is a great stretch if you're like that. We bring it up. We're going to swap it over the other way. It's our last stretch here. Right foot over left, right foot in front, toes in line, feet forward as we reach down to the right. And then we reach our left hand over to deepen that stretch, really get into the side and the hip there. Might have been a lot of information. If you've got any questions, or if there's anything, oh, have you got a stretch that would help? Ask me after or drop me a message. Bring it back to center and then roll it down in front. Hold your elbows, let your hands hang, or maybe your hands do touch the mat. Shift your weight forward to feel that stretch from the left hip, maybe down to the knee, maybe even down to the ankle. Hold it there for a moment. And then we swoop it up. Bring your feet underneath you. Reach up. reach those shoulders back and down, shoulders back and down. Just shake out. Well done. Thanks so much for joining, everybody. I hope you found that helpful. So if you've got any questions, please let me know, and I'll send you this afterwards, and send you some other links as